Under this session, we would be looking at issues concerning negotiable instruments. What are negotiable instruments? Types of negotiable instruments, and also examine the rules that govern the use of negotiable instruments. The key sessions will be the nature of negotiable instruments, functions of negotiable instruments, what is a bill of exchange, and types of bill of exchange. And these are the relevant laws and texts that you might also want to read. So what is a negotiable instrument? It is simply a written instrument. Therefore, it has to be written somewhere, but usually it's on a paper anyway. But it's a written instrument signed by the person making it or the drawer with an unconditional promise or order to pay a specified sum of money. The promise to pay the money is not subject to any condition. Therefore, it is unconditional and is payable on demand or at a definite time, or also payable to the order or bearer. So one, it has to be in writing. You can't have an oral negotiable instrument. It has to be in writing. It has to be signed by the person making it. It should not be subject to the payment thereof, should not be subject to any condition, and it should be payable on demand and at a certain time. So these are the key elements of a negotiable instrument. But what are the features or the nature? Upon issuing a negotiable instrument, what happens? What are the consequences of that? What is the effect? What does it become? One, once you issue a negotiable instrument, it passes title. So you can use negotiable instrument to pass title to somebody else. So that is one thing that you can also use a negotiable instrument for. It can pass title from the drawer to the drawee. For instance, a check is a negotiable instrument. Once you tear a check, you endorse it, and then you give it to somebody else. What you've done is essentially to pass your title, your interest in the amount of money on that check to the holder. So you'd have passed title or your interest in that particular sum of money. So a negotiable instrument is actually used to pass title from one person to another, or from a drawer to a drawee. For instance, a bearer of a bill, the moment the bill is passed on, passes title, once it's delivered, title is actually passed on to the person. And then if it's an order instrument, once it's endorsed and it's delivered, again, you would have passed title. It also gives a right to the holder for the time being to sue in his own name. So you can actually sue on a negotiable instrument. At any time you want to pass a negotiable instrument from one person to the other, there's no requirement to give notice that it is being assigned. Anybody, the moment the holder presents it, the drawee must actually respond to the issues raised or to the amounts being requested for payment, and there's no need for notice. But that doesn't stop the bank, for instance, assuming it's a check but it has been delivered to a bank for payment, it doesn't stop the bank from calling the drawer to confirm. But again, there's no obligation on the holder to notify the drawer that is being assigned. Having discussed that, what then are the functions of a negotiable instrument? What role does it play? It serves as a means of payment. You can use a check to pay, so it serves as a means of payment. It usually substitutes a currency. Instead of using currency, you can also draw or issue a check. It is also used for or used as a credit device, or can even be a contract. It also serves as an acknowledgement of debit or means of negotiation, or a means of vesting rights in the person. The moment the holder delivers it, he must be paid for that. What are the implications for issuing a negotiable instrument? One, it vests certain rights in a person. I've mentioned that already. The moment there's a demand for payments, it must be paid. It also gives that right, the holder, a right to sue in his own name. And then it vests title in those who acquire it in good faith. If you stole it, it may not vest any good title in you. But if it was obtained in good faith, then it would be deemed to have vested title in the holder. And these are examples of a negotiable instrument: bills of exchange, checks, promissory notes, and dividend warrants. They are all examples of a negotiable instrument. And all of these, you find that they would be in writing. There will be instructions to pay a certain amount. It would have been signed by the drawer, and there will be a date on it. So what is a bill of exchange? What does this mean? As we said, it's an example of a negotiable instrument. Before this, it has to be in writing, and it should be unconditional. And therefore, a bill of exchange is an unconditional order in writing, addressed by one person to another, and signed by the person giving it. It would also require the person to whom it is addressed to pay a certain sum of money on demand. So that is a bill of exchange. Again, the key thing is that it should be an order in writing. It should be unconditional. It should be addressed to a particular person. It should be requesting that person to pay on demand a certain sum of money. And it should be signed by the person giving it. The parties to a bill of exchange is usually the drawer, that's the person that issues the bill, and it's this person who must sign it. It's issued by this drawer. The other party is a drawee, that is the person who must pay. An example is a bank, and the payee is the person to be paid. And you find that sometimes there are instances where the drawer and the payee may be the one and the same person, particularly if the drawer issues his own check and he walks to the bank to go and cash. Then the drawer and the payee could be one and the same person. Of course, there are times where the drawer could also issue a check to somebody else. So in this instance, the payee could be another person, not necessarily the drawer. So the parties to this transaction is usually the drawer, a drawee, and the payee. Discuss the features and functions of negotiable instruments. I wish this would be written out by the students and then submitted to their relevant tutors for discussion.